guys, this is Brandon here with Emerald Coast Pro Plus Detailing here in Gulf Breeze, Florida. Just showing you a demonstration of one of the services we offer. For you DIYers or enthusiasts, this is also something that you can do yourself to help make the aesthetics of your car, specifically your trim, look a lot better. Now we see a lot of this here in Northwest Florida. Any hot climate, you're going to see things like this faded trim. This car is only a few years old, and the sun has already kind of done a number to it. And basically what happens is this is a raw plastic. The UV rays come in, it penetrates the plastic, it breaks it down, and fades it. It displaces the natural distillates and petroleums, carbons, things like that are in the plastic, and that's why it starts looking gray and faded. It doesn't look all nice and black and sheen like the first day you bought it. Plastics are completely different than paints. Paints have a UV inhibitor. For the most part, these plastics do not. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to restore this and put a UV inhibitor in it to make it look good for a longer period of time. Now this is not a permanent restoration. There's two words in detailing that don't exist, and that's perfect and that's permanent. Nothing will ever be perfect and nothing is permanent. Over time, the product that we're going to put on, although it is very strong, it will degrade. It's like anything else. If you have a car and you leave it out in the sun for 10 years, the paint's going to get beat up. So although paints have UV inhibitors, we still put waxes and sealants and coatings on to help keep them looking as good as they were from day one. So what we're doing here is kind of restoring and adding some richness, some depth, and some protectant on the trim. Now before we get into the process, we're going to explain what this does and some do's and don'ts. So a lot of people think putting things like Armor All and tire dressings on trim will restore it, and it does make it look darker, but you're not really fixing it, you're actually making it look worse. When you put a tire dressing on that's silicone or oil, that's actually trapping heat in. There's no UV inhibitors, and yes, it does make it look shiny, it does make it look glossy or deep or rich or whatever, but it's temporary, it's sitting on the surface. Those oils are being soaked in a little bit, but like I said, they're attracting heat. Oil does not refract heat, it actually absorbs it and holds it in. So what that does is it actually makes the plastic hotter, traps the heat in, and actually fades it quicker. Armor All is definitely even worse. Armor All is water-based, so if you put Armor All on, you'll see, it starts getting black right away, and you think you're fixing the trim. However, being water-based, it's going to displace the natural distillates in the trim. So oil and water don't mix. So when you put water in here, what does it do? It doesn't mix. So it actually makes your trim look worse. Armor All is definitely the worst of the two, but neither one of those would you want to really put on your trim because it is actually going to make it look worse and create more work for you down the road. So what we're going to do is just show a quick example of our trim restoration process. We are using Solution Finish. It's a very widely spread and popular product. You can't really read the label because we use it so much. You can see it's kind of a little bit messy of a job. That's why I have the gloves on. But essentially the process, and we've already prepped this trim, we're actually getting ready to do it. But basically what you want to do is just take an all-purpose cleaner, and I'll use two different sides of the towel, and I'm just going to spray this on. And you want to go through and clean all the trim, and that's what we do. So although we've done this once, I'm just going to demo it again. We basically go through and just kind of clean all the trim. And this car's been washed, and we went and cleaned it a little bit better. So, and that's almost what it would look like when you put Armor on. You'd be like, oh, I'm making my trim look better, but once it dries out, and you're really not helping the cause. So you'd basically go through and we would clean all this with an all-purpose cleaner. And then what we would do is take a solvent prep cleaner, which is going to remove any additional waxes, greases, or oils that may be on top of the surface, because we want this surface as clean and raw as possible, so that way the solvent additives in the Solution Finish are being absorbed in. So what we would then do is go through and wipe the whole car down, all the trim down with a solvent prep. And if you're an enthusiast, you can use something as simple as isopropyl alcohol. Some people freak out and they think, oh, alcohol is going to dry out the trim. It is in theory, but we are adding hydration back into this, so it's perfectly okay. You wouldn't want to go around your whole car and just clean it with alcohol because then that will degrade the trim a little bit, but we're prepping it. It's going to look worse before it looks better, so that's basically what we're doing. So we'll kind of let that dry a little bit. So I'll talk about Solution Finish for a little bit. So basically this is a solvent restorer. Some people call it a dye, but essentially what this has is it has essential solvents in it that are already in the plastic. So what we're doing is what's been taken out, we're putting back in. So it's a very, it's a pretty thick product, so you don't really need a lot. And we just have a new applicator here. And what I like to do is just kind of prime the applicator. I like to Mickey Mouse it and just basically do 3 dots. If you know me, I'm a Disney fan, so I Mickey Mouse everything. So this is still drying, so I'll actually scooch down to here. Like I said, we've already prepped this. And there's not a lot of product, and you can see it hasn't leached through the back. This spreads very far though, so basically all you really have to do, and you can see how just that little bit kind of, it goes far, is we basically just kind of work it into the trim. Now I do like to apply a little bit of pressure because you do want to work it in the pores within the trim. So you can instantly see that it's making the trim darker, okay? And like I said, this isn't a lot of product, but it spreads far. You can see how heavy this is. Those 3 dots that I did will essentially do this whole side of the car. So what I do is just kind of work this in, and you don't want any high or shiny spots. You want this just thoroughly worked in. And what I'll do is, after I've done all this, I'll kind of come in and do this top ledge. There's really a technique to it where you kind of have to get over on your applicator and get it close to the edge. Now, if you get this on the paint, it's perfectly fine. It won't damage the paint. Like I said, it's not, although people call it a dye, it isn't. It's a solvent restorer. So because there aren't the required elements or solvents in the dye that will bond to the paint, it won't, I mean, I could put it right on the paint, it won't damage it. So, you know, some people they're like, it's not gonna damage anything, I'll just go, you know. I try to be a little bit cleaner, and then I'll come through with a quick detailer and wipe this down. So it will not damage paint. Do you wanna leave it on there for a long period of time? No, when we do a section like this, we'll go over it and then immediately take a finishing towel and a quick detailer and just wipe this down. Whatever your cleaning option of choice is, just wipe the paint down so it doesn't stay on the paint. Will it damage the paint? No. Do you want to leave it on? No, because it can cause streaking. You may have to polish it off or clay bar it off, something like that. I've never left it on long enough to see actually what it does if you leave it on paint, but it won't damage paint, just don't leave it on. So essentially what we do is, like I said, we apply this to all of the trim and make sure it's level. And sometimes you have to do 2 coats. Now this isn't an apply on and wipe off product, you have to leave it on. So realistically what we will do is we will apply this to the whole car and let it sit and emulsify and absorb for about an hour. It's recommended 20 to 30 minutes, however, the longer you leave it on, the better, the more it will absorb in. So what we do is go around the whole car and then leave it for about an hour, and then we'll come through and wipe it off. So you certainly wouldn't want to take a towel and wipe this off now because although it will be a little bit darker, it won't last the suggested time frame. Now longevity is a question that a lot of people ask, and I say it just depends on where the car sits, how you take care of the car. If this car were to sit outside in the sun, you may get around a year, you may get more. It all depends on how you take care of it. There are conditioners and different things that you can purchase for this that basically add rejuvenation or more protection to this. You're not putting the same product on, but there is basically a clear, it's almost a sealant that you would apply over this every 90 days to help extend that. You know, understand that anything you put on a car, if you just put it on once, it is going to last as long as you take care of it. So if you don't take care of this, it's not going to last. It's just like if you were to dye a black shirt. If you were to dye it and you wear the shirt a lot and wash the shirt a lot, it may only stay that rich black for 90 to 120 days. If you don't wear the shirt that much, it might look great all year. So it really depends on where the car sits, how much the car is driven, et cetera, et cetera. So, but what we're going to do now is we're going to apply this to the whole car, and then we're going to do a follow-up video, basically just showing you how it looks, how it's dry to the touch, and the overall aesthetic gain that you get from using a product like this. So we're going to go and apply this to the car, and then we'll come back and wipe this all down and show you guys what we got. are back. We have applied the solution finish to all of the car, basically with the method that I displayed earlier. So it's all in the car. It's been soaking in for a little bit more than an hour. So that's kind of the hard part. Now the easy part comes. So basically what we do is we applied it, we let it sit, we let it soak in, we let it emulsify. And now we just wipe it down. So basically we just kind of go around the car, and I tend to use towels that are towards the end of their life, I like to say. You can use any towel, but you know, this towel is, it's not costing me a lot of money to use. Essentially, this towel is going to get chucked. It will harden, it will be black, so there's really not much use for this towel after we use it. But long of the short, we're just going to kind of take it, and when you wipe, you're just thorough. You don't want to put too much pressure when you're wiping this down, because you can scratch the trim. You can wear it out. If you rub too much, you're going to create heat. If you remember, plastic doesn't like heat. So what we do is just very light pressure, and I'm just going to kind of wipe this in. And we're going to use a few towels when we do this process, because as you can see, what isn't absorbed into the towel is going to go on here. So we want to take all of that excess off, because that excess can actually run down if it gets wet. Anything like that, it can actually cause dripping, staining, blotchiness within the trim. So we want this as uniform as possible, is the word I like to use. So we kind of go through and, just like I said, thoroughly wipe this down and just work it in. I'll do one section like this. You can see how much it's taking off, and then I'll flip it to a clean side and just wipe that down again. You can still see it's taking just a little bit off. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll wipe down the whole car, and then we'll actually do a second wipe down with a fresh towel. So we'll use a couple of these towels, but we'll use the towel in quarters. We'll use all 4 sections, so that's basically 8 sides we get total on the towel. But we'll go through and wipe all this down. And again, what's nice about this, it's completely dry to the touch. There's nothing, it's not greasy, it's not oily, that's just how it's gonna look. And like I said, it will last as long as you take care of it. Now, this gives you a little bit better shot of the company here, Solution Finish. And this is actually their surfactant protector. It is basically a conditioner for this. So like I said, there's products that you can put on top of this that will help extend the life of the restoration that you've performed, and this would be it right here. This is all available at solutionfinish.com. This is a product that we use. We also do carry it here for our clients. But this is more or less just showing you the professional steps in the trim restoration process that we offer. So shout out to Chris West. He is the inventor of Solution Finish. I talk to Chris all the time. He's a great guy. He is beginning to end the guy that did this, and he's in there every day filling these bottles up hand by hand, and he makes a great product, and we like to display it here today. So please, question, comments, likes are always liked. Here. If you'd like to give us some feedback, let us know. If you have any questions on the product or our trim restoration service, please let us know. Thanks.